This TTS Daily, I'm Yi, and we have an update on the case of the woman who was burned alive on the NYC subway just yesterday. In this video now, which we will only be able to show you in segments due to the nature of its graphic contents, we can see that the woman was burned alive and she was actually only engulfed in flames partially from the shoulder upwards to the back, and she was just standing at the door of the carriage supporting herself against the railing. And while she was engulfed in flames, the top half of her body, you could see a police officer actually pacing back and forth outside of the carriage, presumably waiting for backup. He could not be seen trying to assist the woman in flames or even try to tell her to get down on the floor and roll, or try to put out the flames around her. I mean, this is really shocking to see. Why did the officer didn't try to help more? Why were there no fire extinguishers? Or why didn't he try to use a jacket to put the flames out, or even tell her to step out the carriage and roll on the floor? It helps to put out the flames. He was seen pacing back and forth, and a man seated on the bench stood up, approached the woman and started taking a jacket to fan towards her, trying to presumably at first instance to put the flames out. He tried fanning at her a few times before the officer, who was pacing back and forth, went back to the door and he told the man, "Please move out of the way, sir." He repeated that a few times and the man, who was fanning the woman in flames, moved away. It was only later then revealed that the man who was fanning the woman in flames is the suspect culprit who set her in flames. This officer also weren't aware of the fact that the person fanning her, at first instance we presume to trying to put out the flames, is actually the culprit, the suspect who set her on fire. This is just shocking to see. I mean, 1, why didn't the officer do more to help her? 2, nobody in the crowd tried speaking to the victim, telling her to get out of the carriage. There was a point in there where she could have been rescued, but the inactions of the people around her . A 12-year-old boy was out celebrating his birthday dinner in Thailand with his 6-year-old sister and his parents when suddenly multiple gunshots were fired into the restaurant. The parents, trying to protect their children, were struck by bullets in their head and were unalive immediately. This was caused by the shooter, a 50-year-old man who was actually a customer at the restaurant there. He was down there having a drinking session of his own when he stepped out of the restaurant to smoke and have a puff when a waiter cleared his table without informing him. He returned and then got into an argument with the waiter and the restaurant owner. He then drove off and returned, firing multiple gunshots into the restaurant, which killed the boy's parents, who was trying to protect their children. Their daughter was also injured with head wounds. The boy did not suffer any gunshots. 2 other customers were injured, 1 shot in the head and the other in the arm. The 50-year-old man surrendered himself to the police, and there were 8 9mm casings found at the scene. He was charged with murder and attempted murder on December 23, 2024. Our thoughts and condolences to the boy and his family. We're in JB right now, Johor, Bahru, Malaysia, where a Singaporean man was pickpocketed on a bus by a master thief, I presume. So the Singaporean man, Chen, we would say he is a very cautious man. He would regularly check his belongings and he's very self-aware of his belongings. He would purposely wear pants with deep pockets so that it is harder for pickpockets to reach for his wallet, and he would, regularly check to make sure that his possessions are all in place. So this theft occurred on December 19 around 1 PM on the bus while he was travelling from KSL City to City Square Mall. Chen sat next to the man, and this man, who turned out to be the thief, was twisting his body, which is quite unusual, but he paid no attention to it. He just focused on his belongings. It was then later on at 6 PM he noticed that items, cash and credit card, were missing from his wallet. Yes, that's why I mentioned this is a master thief. So the thief was able to spend up to $800 in transactions before Chen finally realized that there were missing items from his wallet. Chen then called the bank and blocked his card, but the damage has been done. Stay safe everyone during this holiday season, and take note, you can never be too cautious. Maybe in future consider pants with pockets that have zippers. We're back in Singapore right now, where a fatal incident happened on the morning of December 22nd at Block 805 King George Avenue. Okay, so this incident happened between two neighbors. In the morning, these two neighbors were seen arguing on the ground floor at Block 805. After that, the younger neighbor, aged 69-year-old, known as Tsai, went to his neighbor's apartment armed with a pole. He was upset because the neighbor didn't apologize to him for the earlier dispute on the ground floor. Okay, they got into another altercation. Things got violent. During the confrontation, the neighbor reportedly used a knife, and Chai was injured. He collapsed in the lift lobby and he was believed to have a heart condition. Police responded around 11:35 a.m. after the fight was reported. Chai was taken to the hospital unconscious and later succumbed to his injuries there. The 71-year-old neighbor was arrested for causing harm with a dangerous weapon, and investigations are still ongoing. Down to our final story of the day. I apologize if I sounded rather down and morbid in the previous stories because they were rather quite upsetting to report. So anyway, we're still in Singapore, and the last story of the day. A woman allegedly scammed Yifang Taiwan fruit tea at Clarke Quay Central by using a fake PayNow screenshot to avoid paying for her order on December 18, 2024. Have we heard this story before? I'll get to it. Okay? She entered the shop, ordered bubble tea, was a bit hesitant at first, and then showed her phone with a falsified PayNow payment screenshot to the staff. She then left with the bubble tea, and then staff finally noticed discrepancies in the screenshot, such as a mark-off area hiding the date and timestamp and the absence of the payment confirmation animation. Okay? After a second checking, it was finally confirmed no payment was received. Okay? So Yifang lodged a police report following the incident. Okay? So here's the point. We have heard this story before, remember? So it is allegedly potentially linked to the story of another scam in August 2024, where at East Coast Road Cafe, a woman used a similar method to dodge a $272.25 bill, a huge tapao order. Do you remember this story now? Yes? Ring a bell now? So it is unclear if it's the same person, but the methods are the same. For context, in the earlier case, the woman finally paid up the $272.25 bill after being exposed on the interwebs. Thank you everyone. If you have listened and watched until the end so far, thank you very much for supporting us. We are TTS, the Talk Squad. This is TTS Daily. I'm Yi. We are new content creators. We are just pursuing a dream, trying to take this as far as possible. We are very grateful for your recent support. Share with us what you like us to talk about or report on. We love to hear and take in your feedback. Thank you so much, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.